This has been an incredible weekend so far, but today is so special because we have a guest that is very, very important to the theater. And you will see his image of his father's profession on the wall. He's a world famous sculptor, and it's David Demings, the son of Sir Graves Ghastly. And he's here again. He's come, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. It's always a very special day at the Redford because it's a day dedicated to Sir Graves Ghastly. And we have some unveiling of some very special film clips today that we've never had before, made available by David, his son. And it's an exciting weekend. Last night we had Young Frankenstein. We had almost 900 people for that. It was a zoo, but it was fabulous. So go on our website, redfordtheater.com, or come to the theater and ask questions or just see how it all happens.
Well, this is another one of the Sir Graves Ghastly tributes here at the Redford Theater. I think this is like the 5th or 6th one. And I think I've been to every one of these, and they're wonderful. It's very heartwarming to see so many people coming and enjoying all those memories of watching those shows, especially when they were little kids on Saturday morning. First of all, after the first time we did one of these, my brother Rick, he and his wife decided that they would provide an endowment to the Redford Theater so that they could continue doing this on an annual basis. And when I heard that he had done that, I thought, well, I've got to do something. And being a sculptor, you know, I love making things, so decided to make this as my tribute to Dad and his role as Sir Graves Ghastly. And it's also a tribute to my mom, too, because she helped him write the scripts and come up with the original idea for it. One of my memories is well before Dad became Sir Graves, but it had to do with how he affected my life and the things that I love to do. I learned very early that Dad was the kind of a person who, if he came up with an idea that he thought was worth following, he would do it. He was determined to do it and to do it well. And so as I grew older, anytime there was an opportunity for me to do something that I thought I'd like to try out, I just thought about Dad, that just do it. Just get out there and put your heart into it, and it'll happen for you. Yeah, I am a fan of the horror movies. I think most kids are, even the ones that are scared to death of them. You know, there's something about the adrenaline that comes up when you're in those situations, even if it's a movie. You know, especially if it seems real to you. Maybe my all-time favorite actually is Young Frankenstein, you know, a parody on all those other movies. But yeah, you know, my dad didn't start doing Sir Graves until I was well into graduate school at Cranbrook. So it was kind of fun to see him immerse himself into that position, and then to do it for 16 years, I thought was incredible. Yeah, in Cleveland, I got to do a Superman Plaza as a tribute to Siegel and Schuster, the two guys that were high school students, 18 years old, that came up with the whole concept idea of Superman. It took them 6 years to get to the point where DC Comics, before they were called DC Comics, actually committed to creating the first magazine. And then the company bought the rights to Superman from those two young guys for $130 each, you know, which is awfully scary. But the point is that this was an incredible feat for these two young guys to create the first superhero, which opened up the door for all these other superheroes and all these other companies now that create those things. So they really had created something important, not only locally, nationally, internationally, all across the world. Everybody knows Superman. So when I was approached to do my Superman Plaza, it's a statue of Superman in stainless steel, because he was the man of steel. You know, you don't want to do him in bronze, right? He was the man of steel. And then off to the side are the 3 figures, life-size bronze figures of Siegel, the writer, who really came up with the idea of Superman. Schuster was the artist, high school friend that did the drawings. And then the woman that represented Lois Lane ended up marrying Siegel 10 years later, but she was the first model for Lois Lane. Schuster drew her in his home. She was 17 years old at the time. So there's a lot of history involved in that threesome. And then the last part of the plaza is a phone booth with Clark Kent's outfit strewn around on the inside. So those 3 elements take care of the entire plaza. You know, I think everybody, almost everybody, appreciates their mom and dad, right? But not everybody gets to appreciate their mom and dad on both of those levels, on their professional level and on their personal level. And I think all my brothers would agree that we got to enjoy both sides of that. And to have so many people in Detroit especially want to come back year after year to this tribute is in fact a tribute to Dad, to both Mom and Dad.
Welcome to our annual tribute to Sir Graves Gasly. I've lost track of how many of these we've done. I think it was about a decade ago that the three of the 4 sons of Lawson Deming came and shared this stage, and after that, made this annual event that we've had so much fun with, and you picked a really good one. A little bit and talk about this box of tapes that you gave me about 3 years ago. We finally, made that leap of faith to try to transfer them. How did you end up with them to get them to us?
Well, as my parents got older,
about Superman, and he's connected to Cleveland this week.
in a special care area, and they put a lot of their stuff in storage. And after they passed, because we lived in Cleveland, my family, we went and got all that stuff out of storage, and there were boxes and boxes of things. So we had those boxes in our basement, and this is one box that I hadn't opened yet. And so last year, I was digging around the basement and found that box and thought, I wonder what's in this one. And I opened it up and saw these big reels and thought, okay, I know where these need to go.
So we went to lunch before this and we're telling some stories about your dad. I love this parade story that I had never heard, and I didn't know this thing about Washington. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, first, you mentioned that we went to lunch. By the way, while I'm out here, if you hear any weird sound effects, I had a large bowl of chili. Anyway, so what we're referring to is there was one year, and I can't remember the exact year, but one year while Dad was doing Sir Graves here in Detroit, he also commuted to Washington, D.C. for a whole season and did the show there. And, in Washington, they have the Cherry Blossom Festival every year with all the cherry trees blooming. And so they have a big parade. And in that parade, that particular year, 3 of the astronauts that had gone to the moon were being set up in an open convertible sitting on the back. waving at everyone. And my dad was in a hearse, and which made sense, right? But 5 minutes into the parade, the guy that owned the hearse refused to go any farther because kids were climbing all over his car trying to get to Dad. And so he insisted that he's not taking Sir Graves any farther. And so the parade master turned around and said, Deming, you're going to sit with the astronaut in the back of the car. So, you know, Sir Graves in all of his outfit got to sit with the astronauts waiting in the crowd. It was a magical moment.
Good afternoon, and welcome to that ghastly production, Saturday afternoon with Sir Greg. I've got a movie this afternoon that will rapidly disappear up and down your spine. Anyone? Back on the star, camera one. One of these days. I'll tell you about our movie in a moment. Did you know that you have been responsible for Boom and Babuba working round the clock? Well, yes, you have. We've received some 800 pieces of mail. Back on the star camera one. And they've been sorting mail from yesterday morning, Friday morning, and early this afternoon. So if Cool looks a bit blurry-eyed today, you will understand why, won't you? We'll have him with some of his riddles, and we have the art Blu-ray, and the glove will be here as well as George. So why don't you watch these messages, and then I shall return to tell you about today's tale of terror. Tis music clear. Shall we stroll down the gatepost? Oh, you little monsters out there are really going to enjoy our feature for today, especially those of you who like vampires. Let me just stroll ahead and you'll see what I mean. Today's feature is called The Mark of the Vampire. I've been bugging Baruba all afternoon to get me a big glass of water, and he comes up with a giant glass. But Baruba, you idiot, where is the water? No, Baruba, not that way. You know I dissolve in water. No. Sure. Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. This is Orson Welles of the Mutilated Blood Corp Investigation, reporting incredibly frightening attacks on our world by pink protoplasmic pootaboos that prove are eating everyone and everything in their path.
began just a few weeks ago when tiny, innocent bits of pink protoplasm were discovered in cities around the world. Then from Budapest, a report that a bookaboo as big as a horse had just consumed a farmer's hen house. In New York City, a house-sized piece of protoplasm gobbled up 2 subway cars. In Chicago, the famous merchandise mart has just been engulfed by a mountain-sized bookaboo, which then became thirsty and drank Lake Michigan. A really big one has just eaten the whole west side of Cleveland, Ohio, and is using the 57-story terminal tower for a toothpick. Report just coming in indicate that our own beloved Detroit will be next to fall under the onslaught of the monsters. There goes Toledo and Monroe and Flat Rock. In the north, Saginaw, Clinton, Pontiac are being gobbled up. Lansing has disappeared. Taylor and Dearborn are gone. And now all the boogaboos have blended into one gigantic pink mass that is aimed at Detroit. It's coming closer, closer, closer.